Hey guys, welcome back. This is week 49 Project Life. I'm carrying on my mission to get my 2020 album done and dusted. Today I grabbed an older Citrus Twist kit. This one is called Legendary. I cannot remember which month it is from. It was literally on top of the pile, and so I just grabbed that out. You can see I've kind of focused my photos on a theme this week. So we just had an absolutely miserable week of weather. It is summer here, or is supposed to be, and we just had rain and fog and gale force winds, and it was horrendous. So I kind of just picked that as a theme. I didn't have like a bunch of those kind of photos, so I have done a photo enlargement, which is this one here of a very rainy trip we had to take. And so that's kind of what I'm focusing on. So I didn't want to add too much in the way of color or embellishments. I really am going to keep it very, very simple, and it's going to be a very sort of stamp heavy week this week. So the first thing that I want to do is I'm going to stamp a little sentiment on here. This is the Chloe regular stamp set from Citrus Twist. I'm using all of the capital letters, and I'm just going to spell out down the bottom here, it's summer, right? I am going to kind of stagger the words because I didn't do any planning, as you can see, as to where things were going to line up. So it's all going to be just a tiny little bit kind of random. I am stamping, I'm going to do pretty much all of my stamping in Memento Tuxedo black ink. I am stamping a lot directly on my photos, and that is because I print at home on Canon Photo Glossy 2 paper. It's designed to absorb ink, and so it stamps brilliantly. So that's my little sentiment. It didn't take too long. I kind of purposefully took that photo thinking that when I did something with it, it would have a whole lot of kind of blank space at the top there so that I could add some sort of sentiment on. So I was kind of planning that when I took the photo, and it worked out really nicely. Now I'm going to fill in this card down the bottom here. I chose just kind of a neutral grey. It's a very small polka dot. It kind of just looks solid grey. There is a very light polka dot texture on there, and I added a photo of me with a cup of hot cocoa, an enormous cup of hot cocoa. The photo doesn't quite do it justice, and because the photo is square, it's got this kind of odd shaped space on the other side. I am going to do some journaling on the left-hand card down there. I added another one of those scrapbook.com easy journal note cards. So I'm going to do my journaling down there about kind of the entire week. So I didn't need to add any other journaling on this. So I'm going to stamp another sentiment on here. I grabbed out that, I think I said, the medicine alphabet and the letters to spell out cozy. So I've stacked them in a group of 4. It works really nicely. I used a really kind of warm grey ink, cement ink there, just so it was a little bit tone on tone, because I'm going to stamp another sentiment on top of it. It just says currently. This is from I think it's called Currently, the Currently stamp set from Citrus Twist as well. So that gives a little bit more focus to it. I didn't want to stamp the word cozy in the black ink. It would have been way too heavy to have down the bottom there. It would have pulled attention away from everything else. So this way I add a little bit of black, but I've got that sort of cozy sentiment in there. I know that when I do my journaling, a lot of that journaling is going to revolve around the terrible weather and the things that I did to counteract the terrible weather, which involved a lot of cuddles and a lot of cups of hot drinks. So that kind of fills in that space there. Now I went through the die cut pack from that actual kit, and I saw those leaves and I pulled those out and I thought they would be good to use. There is only 2 though. I must have used some elsewhere. And I do have this pack of floral die cuts from the December release from Citrus Twist. And so I'm just going to quickly whip through those and pull out anything that's sort of leaf shaped. They're all a little bit different colors. The thing I liked about those original 2 leaves is that they have that green to kind of tie in my grass photo down the bottom. And the other leaves from this die cut pack were a little bit more on the kind of tealy blue scale. So I didn't hate that necessarily, because the cloudy sky in the large photo is kind of pulling towards more kind of tealy blue. And so what I did was pull out a few of those leaves, and I ended up going with two of these lighter ones. They're not quite as heavy and dark and teal as the other ones in that pack. And I'm going to use two of those leaves here. And I'm going to create my visual triangle with these leaves because they're pretty much going to be the only embellishment on this page. So two are going on that photo. I'm going to add one onto my journaling card here. I just placed it where it's going to be with the photo, and then drew around a light line with a pencil so that I could add my typing on my typewriter. Then just erase that pencil line, and then I can adhere everything down. And the third leaf, it's not even a cluster, it's just a leaf, is going to end up on my title card up here. I've got it sitting on the left at the moment, and what I'm going to do is add this to the top instead. I'm going to add my title down to the sort of bottom left-hand corner. So I want to balance that out with the leaf on the top right. Now these are the big numbers. I love them because these ones down the bottom, they match perfectly with that Madison Alpha. The one thing about that Madison Alpha stamp set that I didn't love was that it didn't have numbers. And so now to have the matching numbers is just lovely. I'm going to use those numbers for my week number, but I'm not going to use the Madison Alpha to spell out week. It just, again, would be a little bit too bold, a little bit too heavy. So I am just going to use the numbers instead. It still sort of ties in together with that cozy down there, and sort of repeating those elements to keep everything a little bit consistent. So I am stamping in the same black ink. You can see it works just as nicely on the paper as it does on the photo. One thing I did do though was I have not used these numbers before, so I did prep that with my sand eraser first. It just gives a really solid stamp, as you can see there. There's lots of other ways to prep your stamps. You can just stamp them a bunch of times on some scrap paper. You can use a little bit of like a Versamark ink, an embossing ink. It's anything really just to give that surface a little bit of a sticky feeling, just to sort of get the slickness of the stamp off there. I'm not sure if there's some sort of coating they end up with when they produce stamps. But if you can get rid of that coating, you will get a much smoother and cleaner and crisper stamp. So like I said, I'm not going to stamp out the word week. I'm using some of these black foam alphas, again keeping with the black, but I liked the kind of littleness of them. They are just a little bit heavier though than that Chloe alpha. I didn't want to have the Chloe alpha all at the top and then none elsewhere, so I'm adding that sort of third font in there with those foam alphas. Now I had originally pulled out a 3x4 card here because it was one of those sort of neutral ones. I didn't really love it though. The placement of where I had my photo to cover the pattern that was actually on the card sort of tilted a little bit more towards the bottom. I didn't love it. So I've gone back into that kit and pulled out a scrap of more kind of tealy green paper, keeping with the theme, you can see. And I'm going to add that instead. So there was a little die cut that I had pulled out originally, and I wasn't super keen on it in the end, but I did go back to it, and I've just trimmed off the bottom piece of that die cut that says recorded. Because I've had to trim that at the top, I was a little bit limited in places of where I was going to put it. And so I have added it to the bottom of my photo, and then I moved my photo down to the bottom of the 3x4 card. And I'm going to add a little stamped sentiment and a couple of puffy hearts because I love the puffy hearts. I had to add them somewhere in here. I kind of want to keep them more, again, neutral. So I'm looking at kind of blacks and whites, of which there are only a few. So I added a little white one, and I'm going to add a little blue one. It kind of goes with the color scheme. And that's it, really. Now I decided, since I have got the stamp set out, I might add a couple more sentiments because I've got two photos that I haven't really done a lot to. I don't really want to do a lot to them because they are kind of busy. So I'm adding one teeny little sentence that says "what a day" to the photo of me and Lil. I mean, we just carried on as normal with the weather, but it made the walks a lot less pleasant, I will say. Coming home totally drenched, both of us, having to dry out again. And this last photo here, man, the wind did some real damage to the trees around us. Lil was not impressed, and so I've just added another little sentiment onto there, and that's it. That's this week done. a bunch of stamps, a bunch of paper, and a few tiny little embellishments, and again, less than 25 minutes, so I'm on a roll to get this done. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. If you want to keep watching, there are a couple more videos on screen. Otherwise, I'll see you next time. Bye guys.